So Tim Yatras is a multi-instrumentalist, having performed in bands like Austere, Ilium, Lord, Nazul, Woods of Desolation, as well as many others. And one of the most exciting things he's doing over the past, I believe it's 4 years, is the solo project Germ. Third album will be released on April 29th, Escape. Tim, thank you so much for joining me.
No worries, mate.
So, Germ is, in many ways, a kind of unique band. How would you go about describing its sound?
Oh, I always had these questions because I have no idea. I know that post.
No.
I
don't care about what people call it. I don't care about what the genre people call it. How would you describe it in terms of what does it mean to you? What influences you drawing on? Any of that kind of stuff. Not like a word or anything. I don't care about that.
Honestly, to me, it's just music. It's literally just the music that I want to create, and what comes out naturally when if I sit down with a guitar, that's just what comes out, sort of thing. So to me, it's just a natural form of music, if that makes sense.
No, I can feel that. So you first released first album back in 2012, but I understand the band's been going a lot longer than that.
Yeah, Germ's been going since I think 2003, when I was about 18 or something like that. I started writing the first stuff, and in 2006 I recorded an EP, and I put one song on MySpace, if you remember that. And then the rest of it was just lost when I recorded it with Lamb from Pestilential Shadows, and his computer died and we lost everything. But all the songs pretty much on the first album, Wish, from 2012, were pretty much written between 2003 and 2006. So they're all really old stuff already when they came out.
Now, the new album, Escape, tell us about it. How does it sound?
Well, I guess it is what it is. It's old already for me now. I wrote the songs. I wrote the first song for Escape in November 2013 and recorded it, I think it was from August to December in 2014. So it's already sort of an old album for me. It's odd that there was a lot of delays for various reasons throughout all of last year, and so it's only coming out now. I can't say I'm overly happy with it, but then again, everything is a snapshot in time, and I think because it's been so long now, it's kind of giving me time to think back and reassess and whatever, and do the usual thing of, if I would have done this differently or this differently and this and that. So, I mean, for 2014, it's perfect snapshot, but for now, it's different. So it's odd. It's a really odd feeling for me.
So what happens in between that time period that sort of makes you change? It's just the time that you have to look over it, or is anything else sort of in terms of your musical development?
Since from then to now, you mean?
Yeah.
I guess the main thing is that compared to when I wrote and recorded Escape, I'm in a very different sort of mind space nowadays. So the music I've been doing, obviously I'm always writing, so I'm actually kind of halfway through the next Germ album already. It's super different. It's just really different to what that was. So when I listen to that, it's like a timestamp of 2 years ago. And yeah, it's odd to now be doing this, doing an interview about something that is I'm just going, that's me 2 years ago. Whereas me now is a completely different sort of thing.
So what's the writing process like? How do you go about writing for the last album or the next album, as it were?
It's usually just I write really sporadically. I'll go months without doing anything, and then I'll have a big flurry, and in a week I'll do a lot, sort of thing. But it's usually just whenever I feel inspired, I'll pick up a guitar, and if what comes out is not rubbish, then I'll record it. And then I'll just kind of go from there. And, I like to always kind of record something and sit with it for a while and then revisit it a little while later and make sure I still think it's all right. So that's one of the main things I'm doing at the moment, is like really screening everything heavily and going back to everything and going, okay, is this as good as it can be, like, or should I just ditch it?
That's an interesting approach.
Yeah.
Now, as announced on your Facebook page, you'll be playing live in Europe with, I'm going to butcher this. I butcher everything that I pronounce that's not in simple English. Actually, could you pronounce it for me, the guitarist that you'll be playing with?
David from Heritois.
Oh, I could just call him David, that's true. So, Dave, you'll be playing with David.
Were you going to say Eclatans or whatever?
Yeah. Oh, well, it's glad I didn't get you to pronounce it either.
No, I just call him David.
That's fair enough. So, Dave from Heritois, you'll be playing with him in Europe. Single show for this entire year, isn't it?
It will be the only Germ show this year, and possibly the only Germ show for next year as well. So.
Fair enough. In terms of playing this music live, it's very emotional music. How do you replicate that emotion in a live setting?
It's difficult because being, like, as it is, like, repetitive, and I mean, there's not a great deal of excitement in the music sort of thing. Like, it's all about, you know, I guess it's about the destination as opposed to the journey, you could say. But it's difficult to, not make it boring, but I guess we just try and just make it as emotional as possible. Like, when we've played live in the past, which I think the last show was about 2 years, or over 2 years ago now, we did a little flurry of shows with Enslaved and Moon Sorrow and Deaf Heaven. It was a completely different lineup. There's only one other guy other than me that's still in the Germ lineup from those shows. So it's just about picking the right people, I think, to work with. And I didn't want to just pick anyone who could play the song sort of thing. I wanted to make sure they, understood it and felt it. And that's sort of like David from Heritois. He was a fan of Austere and stuff, and I think Heritois did a really, really good Austere cover in the past. And I approached him and just said, hey, man, do you want to do this? And he's just like, yeah, for sure. So it's more about just picking the right people who will, you don't want someone just up there playing everything perfectly. I'd rather get someone who, can barely play their instrument but can feel kind of the emotion behind the song. I think that's better.
Now, one thing that I've always found really interesting about your music is that really piercing, I don't know how you describe, I would say a shriek.
Bad vocal.
Where does that come from? What influenced that?
Honestly, I wouldn't say phasing it out, but I'm doing those ridiculous high-pitched things a bit less nowadays. But pure honesty, it's just from early Burzum and how much when I was growing up I just absolutely loved Burzum and still do. But it was just kind of imitating Varg, but taking it kind of beyond that, and it just kind of went from there.
Now, in terms of your clean vocals, it's, I don't know, there's a couple of bands that also play sort of black metalish music that include clean vocals, but I don't think any kind of have the sort of more straightforward black metal guitar sound. I think I'm butchering this question, but I don't think they kind of have that kind of guitar sound that really. I know it's not typical black metal music, but I think it really has a nice black metal guitar sound. But as well as have really nice, really upfront clean metal, clean vocals. Like you'll get some in folk, but they're kind of in the background. They're kind of shrouded in murkiness. But yours are in Austere and in Germ. They're really upfront. They're really in your face. Because I think that's kind of an interesting addition to black metal. It's kind of recently it's happening more, but what sort of prompted you to include clean vocals in a style that kind of, I feel like a lot of people might be sort of anti-clean vocals? It's got a very sort of, you shouldn't be able to do anything near where singing.
I guess it was just, it's not like a preconceived kind of plan or anything like that. It was just that, like, I listened to all different types of music, and I mean, I guess the first time there was like, I mean, it was Germ, that the first Germ stuff was before Austere, but the first time, like, my clean vocals really kind of came and people started going, oh, fuck, you can sing clean, was Just for a Moment. And to be completely honest, that song was very much inspired by the Dorian Gray song, The Final. And it was just natural to sing clean vocals. I mean, I don't listen to exclusively black metal or exclusively anything. I listen to all types of music. So, and I mean, I've never particularly liked my voice. I think I have quite an unappealing voice, you could say, but it's been more to the point that I haven't been able to find many people to sing melodies like instead of me, sort of thing. So if I write a song and it calls for a clean melody, then I'll just sing it out of necessity more than anything else, sort of thing. So
no, go on.
I was just going to say, so it's not like a planned or like preconceived thing to go, okay, we're going to mix, you know, harsh vocals with clean vocals. It's just like, oh, okay, well, this bit would sound better with a melody. Oh, I've just written a melody on piano, like I may as well just sing it now.
That's fair enough. Now, the music that you have been involved with is very diverse, but not just in a heavy metal sense, but I've also read that you compose music for Asian pop acts, and you have the ambient project Ghost Tree. Like, how do you approach those different sorts of music? Do you approach them differently when you're writing or you're playing them?
Yeah, for sure. Like the J-pop and K-pop stuff that I write is, it's like, I guess the best way of putting it is like production line stuff. Like you get a brief and you just pump it out what they ask for, sort of thing. Whereas my own stuff is a lot more emotion and heart and soul is put into it. It's interesting you mentioned Ghost Tree, considering I deleted everything to do with that except for the Bandcamp pages.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of trouble. I was like, where's Ghost Tree gone? I'm like, oh, it's just a Bandcamp page. Okay.
That's like, I kind of just did that because I didn't want to release stuff under the name Germ, and I'm like, oh, Ghost Tree, you know, it's got a tie to Germ. And then I just kind of went, oh, I'm probably not going to do much with this anymore. Well, I'm at least not going to do what I planned, so I just deleted everything and left the Bandcamp up there.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it's completely different. Like composing for like work, like the Asian pop is, it's like real clinical and thought out. Whereas composing for my own stuff is more, I hate to use the word, but organic.
That makes sense. With your music, I mean, you do a lot of different things, but black metal has been a pretty consistent backbone to a lot of it. You've had a lot of projects which, in one form or another, I think kind of draw their influence generally from black metal. Where's that interest come from?
Oh, I started listening to black metal when I was really, really young. Like, I think I got Blood, Fire, Death by Bathory, which, I mean, arguably ties to black metal or pre-black metal or whatever, but I mean, I was listening to that album when I was in primary school still, so, like, it's natural for me. Like, well, just put it this way, like, honestly, when I write something, it's easier for me to write something or, you know, related to the style of black metal than to write anything else.
Now, with going back to your early development, you're a multi-instrumentalist. I believe you started out on drums. I think for most people who pick up an instrument, most of them don't go anywhere with it. They stick to the one instrument and they don't do anything. But a lot of people, they do something with it, but they become very proficient in the one instrument. How does one go, like, not only do I want to be able to play well with this instrument, but all these other instruments I want to be able to play as well. It's kind of fascinating, especially for someone like me who can't play music at all.
Yeah, I started on drums when I was I think I got my first drum kit when I was about 11, so that's a long time ago now. And I started out and I took lessons for a little while and did the usual thing. And then I as I got older, I found that I wanted to like get something out. And drums obviously isn't the best instrument for composing music, so I just ended up picking up a guitar and buying a keyboard and just kind of learnt on them. And I'm by no means a good guitar player or pianist. I'm quite rubbish at both, but I've got to the point that I can compose, and what I hear in my head I can get out through those instruments. So that's the main thing, I guess.
Now, I was interested to see that when you were drumming for a band called Bile Gadriel, you were playing under the name Typhon, and it struck me because that was actually a name that I'd consider for a project I'm working on. Why did you choose that name? I'm interested.
Oh, you're going back a long way now. I think I was like 17 or something when that started. I can't, honestly, I can't remember. Bile Gadriel was, kind of a footnote in my history that I've long forgotten. Like, I'm still friends with Asgore and some of the guys from then, but I couldn't really tell you much about it. I was, a teenager, and we were just doing what we were doing.
That's fair enough. Now, do you have any, I know this is a difficult question, but do you have any favourite albums or bands?
I guess, I guess it's a holy trinity of albums, which I think are the three best albums ever released, in my opinion, obviously. And that would be Disintegration by The Cure.
Oh, of course.
And, excuse the pronunciation, but Agiertus Virgin by Sigur Rós. And then Havitati by Moonsorrow.
Oh, nice. I'm actually going to be playing some Moonsorrow tonight. That's good. That's an interesting coincidence.
Something off the new album?
Yeah, something off the new album. One of the long songs, but I figured I may as well play one of them.
You should play track 2. I forget what the name is because it's in Finnish, but it's an absolute masterpiece.
I think I might be playing track 2. I'd have to check, but I think I am. It's a really enjoyable album. Tim is the multi-instrumentalist, performed in a number of bands, and it's one of the most exciting things he's been doing is Germ. Third album, Escape, will release on April 29th. Tim, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem. It's been a pleasure.